Hello students, how are you? So in the previous video for the natural resources we have completed the two cycles, that was the first one water cycle and then the nitrogen cycle. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you both the cycles. The next cycle that we are going to start is the carbon cycle. Okay, so let's start. The carbon cycle refers to the process in which carbon is exchanged among the biotic and the abiotic components of the earth. Okay, so the process that we will be discussing, for example, how the carbon is exchanged from plants to animals, or you can say how it is dissolved in which form it is dissolved in water. Okay, so water comes in abiotic component, plants and animals comes in the biotic component. So carbon cycle refers to the process in which carbon is exchanged among the biotic and abiotic components of earth. Now let's take a look at carbon cycle diagrammatically. You can see the carbon is present in the atmosphere. The carbon, it is present in the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. Okay, it does not exist alone, it is present with the oxygen. So that's why it exists in the form of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Now that carbon dioxide in atmosphere is consumed by the plants. Okay, first time it is consumed by the plants, then from plants, okay, it transfers to the animals in the form of organic compound. Sometimes the CO2 in atmosphere directly forms carbonate in water. Okay, so three conditions now: carbon dioxide in atmosphere first of all taken by the plants, and then from plants it is transferred to the animals, and second, that the carbon dioxide directly dissolves into the water and form carbonates. Clear? Now after the plants, you can see if they are burnt, or the animals they are burned, then what do they form? They form coal after death. Okay, so these type of substance, then the carbon, it gets mixed into the soil in the form of coal, petroleum, and inorganic carbonates, that are shells. You know, some of the organisms have shells. It is also made up of carbonate. What are carbonates? The carbon dissolved into the water. Okay, and that carbonate also forms limestone. Okay, and finally from the animals, with the help of respiration and decomposition, the carbon dioxide is returned back to the atmosphere, and similarly from also the plants, by decomposition also it is returned back to the atmosphere. So this is the carbon cycle. Okay, it is quite simple. If we compare it to the nitrogen cycle, the carbon cycle is quite simple. Okay, clear? Okay, let's discuss one more time. See, how is carbon present in the atmosphere? First and foremost, the important thing is that carbon is present in the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide, that is CO2. Now from there atmosphere, first of all the carbon dioxide is uptaken by the plants. Okay, you can see the first arrow, it is uptaken by the plants. Secondly, it dissolves in the water in the form of carbonates. Now from plants it is transferred to the animals, because why? Because animals depend on the plants for their food or their food requirement. Okay, and then because you know the plants and animals, from them the the carbon compounds are formed like coal, petroleum, after their death, after they are died by the decomposition, etc., by burning. Okay, you know that after burning of the plants coal is formed. So in this way, so from that the coal, petroleum and these things reaches the soil, also the inorganic carbonates, that is the form of the shells of the organism. Okay, and then from organic, sometimes sorry, in animals, then due to respiration and decomposition, carbon again returns back to the atmosphere, and similarly to the plants, the carbon dioxide, the carbon again returns to the atmosphere by the process of decomposition. Okay, so this is the carbon cycle for you. Okay, next topic is importance of carbon. Now first of all, how the carbon can be found on earth. Okay, let's see. First and the most important is carbon dioxide. The maximum amount that is in the atmosphere is carbon dioxide, you know. After nitrogen, oxygen, then the 1% gases that comprises is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is the gas which form when the carbon reacts with oxygen. Okay, you know oxygen is already present in the atmosphere. When carbon reacts with the oxygen, it leads to the formation of CO2, that is carbon dioxide. Clear? Now, where it is found else? It is found in the form of carbonates, hydrocarbons in minerals. Okay, what are hydrocarbons? See, hydrocarbons are the substance which contains hydrogen and carbon. Okay, for example, you might have listened the name of methane, ethane, propane. These are the substances which are known as hydrocarbons. Okay, so what are hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are the substances which contains carbon and hydrogen in mineral form. Okay. Third, carbon is present in all life forms in proteins, fats, vitamins and carbohydrates. Yeah, so it is present in all life forms. We just discussed it in the carbon cycle, that carbon from atmosphere is transferred, is taken by the plants, and from the plants it is taken by the animals. So it is also present in all life forms in the form of proteins, fats, vitamins and carbohydrates. Next, the internal skeleton, that is the endoskeleton, and the external skeleton, that is the exoskeleton, is animals is made up of carbon salts. Okay, different types of, for example, if you might have I have told you that in the cycle that carbonates form the shells of certain organism. So that what is a cell? Shell is a external skeleton, that is exoskeleton. So the internal and the external skeleton in animals is also made up of carbon salts. There can be different types of salts. Next, plants convert carbon into glucose molecules during photosynthesis. Very important, because you know what happens during photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide with the help of sunlight is converted to glucose. So, and you know the main component of what is carbon dioxide, that is carbon and oxygen. So that carbon and oxygen are converted to glucose. So carbon also helps in the formation of the food, or you can say it is synthesized to food with the help of sunlight. So plants convert carbon into glucose molecules during the photosynthesis. So you know that how it is important now, carbon, because we know that all the living organism, all the life forms depend upon carbon, or sorry, depend upon food, and food is prepared by the plants. So we can say all the life on earth directly or indirectly depends upon the plants for their living. Clear? So read these points again, students, and then we will be moving forward. Next is how carbon is released back to the atmosphere. So there are basically two processes with the help of which the carbon is released back to atmosphere. These are respiration and combustion. First, respiration. Animal utilize the glucose and energy from that and then release carbon dioxide through respiration. Okay, I hope you know respiration. What happens in respiration? The food that is formed, it is oxidized with the help of oxygen, because you know the blood, it transports oxygen to various parts of the body, and also the food inside the cell. What happens now? The food, in the presence of oxygen, it breaks down to give energy and the carbon dioxide. Energy, it is utilized by the cell for performing different functions, and the carbon dioxide is released back into the blood, and from blood it comes back to the lungs, and from the lungs it is exhaled out. So this is the one process that carbon is released back to the atmosphere. I hope it is clear. Respiration. So animals utilize the glucose and gain energy from that, and then release carbon dioxide through respiration. Clear? Next is combustion. Burning of fuels for different requirements such as cooking, industrialized processes, transportation and heating leads to the release of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. See, what is combustion? Combustion is said to be the burning in the presence of oxygen. Whenever these fuels burn, they release gas that is carbon dioxide. Okay, fuel burning, or you can say cooking or industrialization processes, they all, when they burn, the fuel is burnt, then it releases carbon dioxide, and once the carbon dioxide release, it again goes back to the atmosphere. Okay, so these are the two processes that the carbon is released back to the atmosphere: respiration and combustion. Respiration is quite important. Okay, so you need to understand that the oxygen and food are transported to the cell. In the cell, the oxygen acts on the food, oxidizes it, and then releases the energy plus carbon dioxide. So two products are formed, that is carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Energy is utilized by the plant, or you can say the cell, and then the carbon dioxide from that cell is exited out, and from there it is exhaled out by the organism, and from when it is exhaled out, it mixes in the atmosphere. So two processes that how carbon is released back to the atmosphere are respiration and combustion. Clear, students? I hope it is clear to you. In the next video, students, we will be discussing about the greenhouse effect. Okay, till then, students, take care of yourselves and keep studying. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.